10 future NBA stars to watch out for. This video will not only be helpful for those who play fantasy basketball and are looking for younger players with huge upside to build around for the next 3 to 5 years, but is also probably a very good watch for anyone who is simply just an NBA fan, as some of these players have potential to blow up sooner than most expect and take over the league by storm. The first tier I have is the very likely tier. I feel like many of these players are on their way, and to be quite frank, many would probably agree that it's just a matter of time before they take their game to the next level and possibly put themselves into serious conversation as legit top 10 or possibly even maybe top 5 players in the NBA someday. Lamelo Ball might be one of the most obvious names to start. Since entering the league, he has definitely lived up to the hype. Won Rookie of the Year, made his first All-Star team last season, and was just one of 5 players in the entire NBA to average over 20 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds per game. As good as Lamelo has been in his short NBA career, many would say that there's still plenty of room for him to grow his overall game. We can't forget that he is barely 21 years old and is already considered a legit franchise guard to build around for many years to come. With his size and athleticism, he definitely has the tool set to be a versatile two-way guard, especially if he puts in the work and improves his defensive game. Statistically, we saw great year-over-year improvement, and he is already an above-average player in steals with a career average of 1.6 per game. Fantasy-wise, many see Lamelo as a legit top 15 and possibly even top 10 player as early as this year, and many people feel like he is one of those guys who can be a perennial top 10 player in most standard leagues for a long time. So what do you think of Lamelo Ball? Can he be a top 10 or maybe even top 5 overall player in the NBA someday? If so, how soon? Comment below. Subscribe! Anthony Edwards is another popular young player many fans feel like could catapult his name into becoming one of the future faces of the NBA. Known to the public as a very outspoken young player, not afraid to make bold claims, in many eyes Anthony Edwards already has that superstar personality. Perhaps one of the most important factors for marketable NBA superstars. Personality aside, we can't discredit his on-court talent and work ethic. So far in his young NBA career, Edwards has averaged 20.3 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 3.4 assists per game. Not gonna lie, not exactly eye-popping stats, but those who watch him closely would tell you he is already a legitimate 3-level scorer who could be on the brink of superstardom very soon. At just 21 years old, Edwards' numbers increase across the board from his rookie year to his sophomore year, and still looks like a very raw NBA talent on some nights. One would say that he has the upside to average over 25.6 rebounds and 6 assists per game during his prime, and could be one of those players that continues to trend up for the next 4 to 5 years. If all goes well for Edwards, it will be extremely tough to keep him off the All-Star team in the next few seasons. And to me, it only looks like a matter of time before Minnesota decides to clear out their backcourt and possibly trade out someone like D'Angelo Russell so that they can build an entire backcourt around Edwards. In fantasy basketball, he is already considered a legit top 40 player and has the trajectory to finish as a top 20 or 25 player by the end of 2023. What do you think about Anthony Edwards and his upside? Do you think he has more upside than Lamelo Ball to become a top 10 player in the NBA someday? Comment below. Next player I have on the most likely tier might be one of the more obvious / somewhat forgotten young players in the NBA, Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, Zion has only played 85 games in his 4-year NBA career, which isn't a lot to be quite honest, but his dominance has been quite evident in many of those games we have seen. As a super raw NBA rookie and a second-year player, we already saw plenty of moments where he made legit NBA players in their prime look like average rec league ballers. Williamson averaged 22.5 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists per game in his rookie season. He then backed that up and took a huge step forward in year 2, increasing his points per game to 27 while adding 7.2 boards and 3.7 assists. Keep in mind that he was doing all that without a consistent jumper. As dominant as he has been mostly by being a lob threat and an elite finisher around the basket, adding even an average jump shot could mean trouble for the rest of the NBA. It could possibly help him average an extra 3 to 4 points per game and also make Zion one of the most likely players on this list to average 30 points per game a season. As of right now, he only averages 0.6 3-point attempts per game with a career average of 33.3% from beyond the arc. So many would argue that his shooting potential is probably more than 90% untapped at this point. At only 22 with probably at least 5 to 6 years of very good to elite basketball left in him, Zion definitely has a huge runway to significantly improve his NBA stock in the next 3 to 5 years. In my opinion, Zion's biggest enemy might be his health and whether he has the ability to stay on the court throughout his career. If he's able to take care of his body and give himself the best chance to stay healthy and add a jump shot to his repertoire, many might agree that Zion could be in the conversation as one of the league's most dominant and possibly future top 5 players in the NBA someday. So my question to you is, out of all 3 players in this tier, who do you think has the best chance to be a top 5 player in the NBA one day? Comment below. Subscribe. The next tier I have is the likely tier. I feel like many of these players have the potential to become something special in the NBA one day, but compared to the guys in the first tier, they might be a little bit behind in terms of accomplishments and need to do more in the league to solidify their resume. Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers is definitely one of the more exciting young bigs to enter the league in recent memory. Taken 3rd overall back in 2021, Mobley quickly showed the NBA why the Cavs were so hyped about his potential. Since entering the league, Mobley quickly became one of the Cavs' most important players, especially on their front court. As a 20-year-old rookie, he averaged 33.8 minutes a night, along with 15 points, 8.3 rebounds, 50.8% field goal percentage, with 1.7 blocks and almost 1 steal per game. Listed as a 7-footer, Mobley is a versatile big with an unreal defensive ceiling. There were many occasions where we even saw him defend smaller guards and actually held his own. Statistically, Mobley was one of the top leaders in contested shots as a rookie and has the ability to anchor an entire team's defense. On the offensive end, Mobley already showed great finishing ability around the basket and actually has a pretty decent jumper. But many feel like he could be so much more once he develops a legit 3-point shot from beyond the arc. Evan Mobley's path to a breakout or an excellent year-over-year improvement is definitely there for the next 2 to 3 years. By just simply improving his efficiencies alone, it looks like he could easily set new career highs this upcoming season. Conservatively speaking, expecting a 17-9 stat line along with something around 1.9 blocks and 1 steal is very reachable for Mobley in year 2. Fantasy-wise, in most standard 12-team leagues, top 50 looks like the floor for Mobley moving forward, and top 30 to 35 might be a realistic ceiling for him to reach this season. Next, you can't really mention Evan Mobley's name without bringing up Scottie Barnes of the Toronto Raptors. Taken exactly 1 pick after Mobley in the 2021 NBA draft, there's an ongoing debate about who is better and who will have the better NBA career when it's all said and done. Not exactly the same type of players, but Scottie Barnes still made a huge mark on the league as an NBA rookie. In many ways, he exceeded expectations. He took home the prestigious Rookie of the Year award and made a huge impact for the Raptors from day one. Barnes became a starter right out of camp and ended up finishing the season averaging 15.3 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists along with 1.1 steal and 0.7 blocks in 74 games. Overall, that's a pretty unique stat line as it shows Barnes' ability to contribute in pretty much every major statistical category. As a very unique hybrid player with a soft touch around the rim and excellent playmaking ability for his size and position, call me crazy, but his size, athleticism, and playstyle actually somewhat reminds me a little bit of Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. To double down, Barnes' rookie numbers were actually better than Giannis' first 2 seasons, and seeing how the Raptors are actually pretty good at developing young raw talent, Barnes' current rate of development might be faster than most people think. Heading into this season, he could still be the team's third option on most nights, so it'll be interesting to see how long the Raptors decide to keep their current core together, and if they will ever decide to move on from Fred VanVleet or Pascal Siakam in order to give Scottie Barnes a bigger role in the next few years. Fantasy-wise, as an NBA rookie, he already comfortably finished as a top 80 player. And heading into this season, if his role, usage, and development continues to grow, a top 40 fantasy season could definitely be within reach. Personally, what do you think about Scottie Barnes? Do you think he has the potential to be a top 10 player in the NBA someday? And between him and Evan Mobley, who do you think will turn out to be the better pick once it's all said and done? Subscribe! Next player I want to talk about is another exciting young player from the 2021 NBA draft class, Cade Cunningham of the Detroit Pistons. Now, as a first overall pick entering the league last year, Cunningham actually put up very decent numbers considering the circumstance. He started in 64 games, averaged 17.4 points along with 5.5 rebounds and 5.5 assists. Overall, pretty good numbers for a rookie thrown onto a bad Pistons team that lacked depth and structure. In many eyes, Cunningham had a great rookie year, and many feel like he should have won the Rookie of the Year award, which is definitely debatable. Cunningham won't wow you with his speed and athleticism, but perhaps the most impressive thing about his game is his incredible basketball IQ and amazing playmaking ability. Obviously, he's not a superstar yet, and he likely won't reach that level for a few seasons at least. But if things go well, perhaps seeing him average a 27-7 stat line and helping the Pistons become a legit playoff team in the East is the next big step for him. Fantasy-wise, I feel like he's still an excellent guard to build around for the next 3 to 5 years, and should comfortably be a top 40 to 50 player for the next several years. The next tier I have is perhaps the most interesting one with the biggest surprises, the wait and see tier. This includes super raw players that have shown glimpses of potential, but unfortunately we might need a bigger sample size to know if they can be a star in the NBA one day. First player I have in this tier is Josh Giddey of the OKC Thunder. Somewhat of a surprise rookie last year, he took full advantage of the opportunity the Thunder gave him and actually put up a very impressive stat line. Averaging 31.5 minutes of play a night, Giddey was able to average 12.5 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 6.4 assists. With a unique combination of skill and size and great feel for the game, he was one of the rare bright spots for the Thunder last year. In fact, he became the youngest player in NBA history to record a triple-double at 19 years and 84 days. From there, he went on to finish off the season strong with 3 more triple-double performances. Among all rookies last year, Giddey finished 7th in points, 2nd in rebounds, and 1st in assists per game. So overall, a very promising start to his young NBA career. He may never be a dead-eye shooter or lethal scorer, but his superb playmaking ability, excellent basketball IQ, along with everything he brings might help him become a franchise player for the Thunder for the next several years. Do you think the OKC Thunder have another future all-star in their hands, or am I overhyping Giddey a little bit? Comment below. I would also put Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors in a somewhat similar category. Taken 7th overall in 2021, he entered the league at barely 19 years old. With limited playing time, his impact was noticeable throughout the season, as he displayed impressive athleticism among promising signs on both ends of the floor. Kuminga is still a super raw prospect at this point, and his stat line isn't as impressive as other players, so it's hard to determine Kuminga's true potential based on stats alone. But compared to others, he might be in one of the best situations in terms of development. Surrounded by future Hall of Famers and championship coaching staff, Kuminga might be that next guy to carry the Warriors dynasty. From afar, it seems like he might be on a similar path as what Kawhi Leonard was during his time in San Antonio, where their veteran players gradually handed the team over to him when the time was ready. So in my opinion, Kuminga might be a very interesting name to keep an eye on for the next 2 to 3 years. As his role and usage likely increases, we will see if he can become a dark horse of his draft class and turn into a legit star for the Warriors in the future. Furthermore, 2 rookies who might be worthwhile mentions on this list includes Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic and Jabari Smith of the Houston Rockets. Both high picks in the 2022 NBA draft, entering situations in the NBA where they can play right away and perhaps develop at a much faster rate than other younger players. In Banchero's case, things might run through him immediately, giving him the ability to put up impressive numbers in his rookie season right away. As a 6'10", 6'11" player with great handles, good footwork, and a big build, it will be interesting to see what type of player he becomes. Orlando obviously failed with a lot of high draft picks over the past decade. So what do you think of Banchero? Do you think they finally have their next franchise guy in him, or will he be another overhyped prospect? Similar to Banchero, Scottie Smith of the Houston Rockets is joining a team with a very thin roster, so it looks like he has a good shot to get starting minutes straight out of camp. As a young forward with good mobility and a very decent shot, he might be one of those prototypical forward/big more NBA GMs are looking to build around for the future. From what we have seen in college, the raw offensive talent and scoring ability is there. Seeing how he's able to compete as a first-year professional on a not-so-competitive Houston Rockets team will definitely give us a better indication of what Scottie Smith Jr. might be able to become in the next 2 to 3 years. So between Paolo and Jabari, who do you think has more potential to become a legit star in the NBA someday? Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree with everything I said in this video? Make sure you let me know in the comments below. And if you like, feel free to call me out as well. If you want to watch more of my crappy videos, then make sure you click the links on the side right here.